We're in the studio. Hello, punters. We're at Sydney-wide discounts. I'm in Sydney. How is it seeing me face to face instead of on the screen?
Mate, how is it being at Sydney-wide discounts? All the talk and you've never been in.
I know. How are we, punters? Another big week of sport. Another big week of results. Plenty going on in the AFL and the NRL. For anyone that's watching this is Pat's office. We're on the purple couch.
I tried to call it the porno lounge.
Yes.
But apparently that doesn't bode well with advertising or anything like that.
And your female staff. Can you come up here, please? I want to talk to you about your thing. Please, sit on the porno lounge.
HR kiboshed that quite quickly.
That wasn't a great idea. He's hooked me up with the Sydney-wide discount shirt, so very happy. But, mate, it's good to be here. I flew in early this morning. As we said last week, we've got the golf day tomorrow, the Giant Steps Golf Day. We'll put a link in the description here if you want to donate to Giant Steps. But I came in hot this morning. You picked me up at 11, and by 11:25 we're sitting at Yumchar at Rhodes, and
You had a lazy $150 worth of Yumchar
very
food on the
nice.
table immediately.
yeah. I had it all set up when you came back.
Went to the toilet for number one and came back and it was chock-a-block.
I think I had about six dishes on the table ready to go.
DJC heard us talking about Yumchar.
Yeah, DJC's trying to call
ring
me.
you.
I haven't actually called him back from yesterday. It's been flat chat trying to get down here, but mate, how are you going?
Feeling good, mate. Feeling ready. I've got a big couple of days ahead with yourself here tonight. Probably throw a big red hot steak on the barbecue and then get up early for a good 12 hours of charity golf day tomorrow.
Indulgent. Wonder who the guest speaker... Wasn't it Pumper Cassidy last time?
Yeah, no, it was Reed Marnie last time, wasn't it?
No, who spoke before the golf day?
Oh, it might have been, yeah, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he did like the pre-talk, and then, there was a couple of players and all that stuff. No Reed this year. But
and then Rachel King ended up there in the night time to drive us home.
Yeah. I saw Hildo and Rachel on the red carpets for the championships last night, and I've got a bone to pick, and I know this is our sports podcast, but you and I aren't going to have any racing fix this week because we're not doing Locked In. But Hildo, if you're listening, next time your partner rides the horse is a part of your stable, the stable that you manage, give us a heads up when you're going to win a Group 1, especially at 13-1.
I've got to say, though, at $13, we are a punting show. So I'll delve into this a little bit. I thought it probably should have been closer to $25. And the amount of surprise and disbelief about it winning, and then the whole rhetoric around Montefilia pulling up lame and all of that.
It didn't pull up lame, did it?
1 of 5 lame, but it stood in a hole and,
I just missed it, yeah.
It was more the talk about Montefilia not winning the race as opposed to Arapaho winning the race. It should have been more of a surprise that horse won the race. It's come out of a Canberra Cup.
It was great socials leading up to it as well. I think the Baker stable put up like when your connection with this horse is so strong, you just want him to do his best. Have you seen that?
With Rachel.
And it's Rachel just giving the horse a pat before it goes out. And she rode it an absolute peach too, and she threw that over the line.
My favourite photo was actually taken last night at the opening of the championships. They've taken a photo of Rachel and Hildo on the red carpet, and they've just
cropped Hildo's head,
cut his head completely out.
He's a great accessory.
But enough about it. Let's rip into the footy. Last week, no luck on the multis. We're due this week.
Listen, before we get into it, I don't know if I've made enough of it in this season or in this show. But did you know Collingwood's going to win the AFL Premiership?
Oh, you're back to being the guru this week.
I'm back. I'm back. I haven't tipped Collingwood because I feel like as soon as I tip Collingwood, everyone...
Hang on, I'll just get something out of the drawers. It's my Swans jersey!
That'd be right. That's how the Swans supporters work. But I feel like if I tip Collingwood straight off the bat, everyone's like, oh, here we go. Collingwood podcast 2.0. 1.0 didn't really get up and running. But
yeah, it never got off the ground,
but it's... I'm wary, but God, they were good. And Nick Dacos will more than likely win the Brownlow. He's into favouritism at 10-1. And Dad, my old man, who's not a huge punter, came out and he said, I've backed Nick Dacos for the Brownlow. I'm like, what did you get? And he goes, $50. I'm like, well, that could be better the year.
50-1.
Yeah.
No, he could have thought just had $50 on at 10-1. He could be.
No, he backed it like 2 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had it ages ago. He said it before the season, and I messaged him after that game on the weekend with Colin. I'm like, that could be better the year.
If he hits that, we have to have him on the show.
No, we're going to.
And he would love it too.
He would love to have him on the show.
Here I am, Sam.
Right. I knew this day would happen. Don't kiss me on camera, Dad. So I think we'll talk footy. Stop talking about me and Dad kissing. We'll talk footy first, but I'm thinking, and I've really put you on the spot. I've kind of given you about 8 minutes notice for this one, but I think what we should be releasing is 4 sets of bets. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. Still have our best to create the multi. Let's not run away from that because we're due. We're due.
We're due.
We've
all hit one.
We've all
multi.
Oh, no. I did that golf multi.
No, that golf one, that was just a joke bet.
I'm hitting it this week. I tell you who I hate.
Me.
Fremantle.
Oh, Freo.
Then you.
Why, we call this the Freo couch.
This is the Freo. This is the same colour as the eggplant emoji, but no, the Collingwood were great. Fremantle were terrible.
How about the Swans? Talk to me about the Swannies. Hit me with some Swannies gear, mate. I'm going to buy a jersey.
Not a Swans fan.
I want to get the long sleeve shirt though. I don't want to get the
No, now you're back. You've got to whisper this and Sydney supporters will know this, but now you're back on the bandwagon. You've got to call them the Bloods.
No, there's only one blood, alligator blood.
Oh, yeah, that's true. This weekend.
I don't want to get it confused. I don't want to get it confused.
Yeah, no, it's the Swannies are looking good. In fact, they're.
What have Hawthorn done over the off-season? What happened in that game? Swans have beat Hawthorn 150-5.
So tell me this: you've watched one AFL game this weekend, and it was Swans Hawthorn.
Yeah,
mini.
I just thought my friend Wolfie, who's a great punter, we spoke about him on the show the other week when he had those few Hawthorn goal scorers. I thought he may have taken 6 or 7 Hawthorn goal scorers in that game. They've kicked 3 goals, haven't they?
They haven't had 6 or 7 goal scorers this year.
He keeps taking multiple Hawthorn goal scorers in his multi. I don't get it. I
think Hawthorn, they've this year the way, and I don't want to get too analytical, but the run is on in AFL this year. I think the more run you have, the better you are. And I think I actually even said it in the opener to the first, the show we did before the first round of the season. A lot of people thought they'd be going tall, but I think the run has just eradicated that tall forward line. Hawthorn haven't got that run right now. They've traded out a lot of their run as well. But, yeah, I think the Swannies are hot, and they are currently $2.76 outsiders against the Demons this weekend. I think it's Sunday afternoon.
They're what? Outsiders?
Yeah.
The D's game was scrappy as, wasn't it? I watched that. I watched a little bit of that game.
Did you watch the end of it?
I didn't watch the end of it, no.
Oh, okay. The power went out.
Oh, I flicked back over for that.
So it's just...
That kept me up.
Can I just... Well, you know why it kept me up? You know how I had my prop betting weekend of
prop bets.
I can't go into the weekend that I had, but I had a great weekend on the punt. I'm sorry I went horribly for us.
Yeah, he could not name all his bets because he had 1,000
bets. But I was having kind of 4 or 5 leg player prop bets, and the Brisbane Lions Melbourne Demons one I had was quite a substantial bet, and I'd had 4 or 5 legs get up, and I needed this player to come through with like 6 more disposals.
Was it a D's player?
Yeah.
You got it.
Christian Petracca, and the power went out. He still had 6 to go. And I'm like, what are they going to do? I was laying in bed watching. I think I was messaging you.
Yeah, did you
get it? And I'm like, yeah, it came back on and I got the bet. But it was, look, I don't know if I mentioned on the show, but I mentioned it kind of in the offices last week that I think there's almost like a code war in Brisbane for where NRL and AFL sit. And the AFL has been kicking ass up there for what is an NRL state. But this Dolphins-Brisbane rivalry was huge at home. Like, it was massive.
It was State of Origin, yes.
It was so good, like packed Suncorp Stadium. I was listening to Crash Craddock on SEN, and he was saying, like, you know, you had people in Broncos jerseys that had Dolphin. Like, it was kind of, as much as it wasn't as much a rivalry. How good's the Hammers? As much as there's a rivalry, it's kind of, everyone's kind of just embracing being a two-team town. And I have to admit, it wasn't the most, I don't know, it wasn't the most exciting game. But it was...
Because Dolphins tried to shut it down, which is great. They were just looking for their angle to win. They had one of their major halves out, and who they replaced with Milford, who was Rocks and Diamonds, and they had Kafusi out.
And Sean O'Sullivan did his peck
early. Yeah. So it's obviously going to be a struggle this week for them too, because they've had to reshuffle Milford to halfback and Katoa back, and no Sean O'Sullivan, who I reckon was the director of the team. So,
100%. That'll hurt them more so than anything else.
But in saying that, I thought that they were going to get pumped in that game as well, and Dolphins just rose up. They're the best derbies when the team where you think could possibly be a walkover end up... It's like Queensland versus New South Wales. Every time you write them off, and they still nearly get a result.
It lived up to the fact that it was a rivalry. Like I said, it wasn't the greatest game, but the one thing I'll take out of that game is Kotoni Staggs is fucking elite.
Beast.
He is absolutely elite, and I just wish he played for Queensland.
I don't know if you remember when we first started doing podcasts, I said there's a bloke coming through, Kotoni Staggs, and he got injured real early on. I reckon he came in looking like Katoa, skinny kid,
yeah,
you know, all that, and then 3-4 years later, he's a beast.
A monster.
He's a beast. He's got legs on him like Olsen Filipana.
Yeah, it was great, and like even like the NRL, Peter V'landys, and this would have been just before.
Oh, the lights going out.
He would have been. He was sitting at Suncorp. He was just about to leave and run over to the Gabba to cut the power, but when Kotoni went almost the length of the field to score with the intercept and score the try, and then say, "This is our fucking home." That the NRL would be so happy with that.
Oh,
it was
100%.
so good. It was so frigging good. And then quick, obviously, V'landys had to get over to the Gabba.
I feel he wouldn't have cut the power. He would have been walking away like the Joker and just flicked like a cigarette over his head, and then that would have blown everything up. He's too cool, mate.
Well, that's it's funny. I was listening to that Crash. This is on the plane on the way down here. That Crash Craddock talking on, and he's at the Courier Mail, and he was talking about how, like, the Gabba still had 37,000. Like, it still had a good, you know, for an interstate team and all that kind of stuff, the Lions game. But he said, like, the rivalry is big because there's Suncorp there as well. Like, Suncorp is such a, and I've got great memories of Suncorp, even when I was a kid. Like, it's such a great ground where the Gabba is almost soulless. Haven't you? Oh, this year.
Let's go.
Yeah, we'll go. We'll take this potty to State of
Gabba's
Origin. Share this around, guys. Share the potty around.
Yeah.
We get to a certain amount of ears and eyes. If we get to 10,000 a week, Paddy and I will do a State of Origin show. And
if this podcast gets 3 likes, we'll do.
Oh, we're going to call our wives like it. We get 4 of us. The Gabba is a little bit soulless. Like, there's none of the stands are named. Like, there's no grand entrance. Like, you can kind of go in there any other time.
This is the greatest segue ever.
Why?
We're talking about soulless.
You're going to talk about the Bulldogs.
Joseph Swaley.
Oh, soulless, yeah. Well, I mean, he's soulless now because he sold it.
Is that
this is big.
Is that the Gabba or is that Joseph Swaley?
So what? He's at the Roosters till the end of 2024.
Yeah, let me talk to you. Then he's going to rugby union. Now, there's 2 sides to this. There's the people that want him to stay and play Origin and, you know, fulfill his contract before he goes to union.
Yeah.
And then there's the others saying, just go, mate. You've signed for rugby union. We don't want every time you score a try, everyone going, oh, that's the bloke that signed for rugby union. Pretty much rugby union gets a free kick on the advertising all the way up until he goes and starts playing rugby union. So what side of the fence are you falling on?
on neither side. Firstly, he goes to rugby, 21. He can go live out a 3-year contract, make $3 million over the 3 years and come back to us as a 24-year-old player and, forget about trying to chase contracts, forget about trying to chase money, and we see probably the best player that we see.
They don't, mate. You know, in any job, once he goes and gets paid $1.6 million a year, he will never want $1 below $1.6 million a year. There is no way people...
Yeah, but who knows where NRL is in 4 or 5 years' time? Maybe they can afford to pay him that. But that's where they need to have marquee signings as well. How can the ARL or the ARU, come through and grab these players for such big prices
when they didn't pick them up at the start? But because the ARU's top 1% of supporters, who I'm guessing feed these deals, would have more money than the top 1% of supporters of rugby league, for sure. So I'm saying that someone else is topping these top-end guys up. They can't be bothered stuffing around with the... to buy one Suwali out of the juniors, they would have to buy 50.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But
they don't have the commitment to pay the money for that. They're all about prestige. They want people to stay for the prestige of putting on a Wallabies jersey. Whereas now, it is a bit of a sellsword culture. I'm saying this, though.
But they've bought him for the Wallabies, obviously.
They've bought him for the Wallabies, for sure. That's the part. They're saying his connection to rugby union is great. He's going to be an awesome player. He's clean-cut image. He's going to be great for the Wallabies. I'm saying, go and be great for the Wallabies now. Rugby league does not need you. We've seen Israel Folau's go. We've seen Wendell Sailors go. We've seen Matt Rogers go. We've seen all these great players go that we thought would affect the game. I think it doesn't need that constant commentary of this bloke's going to rugby union.
Yeah, but
this bloke's taking 1.6 million. This bloke's taking this rugby union. I feel like not only is it a free kick for rugby union, it also takes away the gloss of anything he achieves now in rugby league. You pick him for New South Wales, they say he shouldn't be picked for New South Wales. You pick him for Australia, they say he shouldn't be picked for Australia because he's leaving to go to rugby union.
But that's the rhetoric around this sport and being able to lose them. The fact that we have two codes so similar to each other that they can pick and pull players. Even the fact they got rugby league players to AFL, that was a horrific situation. But it was great marketing for GWS and the Suns and things like that. That's all this is. We're talking about it now. There'd be 50,000 other podcasts like us.
But I'm saying though that rugby league could close the book on it.
But how? He's got a contract at the end of next year.
They could say, PO, son, we've had enough here.
Don't. You make things up. You live in a dreamland to think that that's the case. It's not going to be the case.
I'll kick you off this porno couch.
And then who? So who from the NRL? Let's pretend this is the NRL officers.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm Peter V'landys.
All right. I'm Albo. What's his name? Abdo.
Anthony Albanese. The Prime Minister. Welcome, Prime Minister. I don't know what you're doing in my office. Let's talk football.
Oh, I love my... He's the Bunnies, isn't he? He's a South supporter. He's a diehard South supporter.
Yeah, he looks like a rabbit too. One of those people that looks like his pet. He looks like the mascot of the team.
All right, guys. What's up for today? Okay, someone. All right, can you shoot over to Roosters and tell Trent Robinson that because Suwali's gone to rugby union, he's out of the team?
Well, I can't. You're Prime Minister. Get back to your work.
I'm Andrew Abdo. No, but
who
does that? Who sits there and says to Robert?
I say that Peter V'landys goes to Nick Moratis and says, Nick Moratis, not Nick Politis.
Isn't that Moratis the guy that owned Might and Power? Yeah.
Sorry, Nick Moratis. He's passed away early this year. Late last year. But goes Nick Politis and says, mate, we've got to PO this kid. It's bad for the game.
Yeah, but you know what?
He's got to go now.
You know what Nick says? He goes, okay, the good of the game over the next 18 months or us being in contention to win a premiership? Let me get back to you, Albo. I'm Uncle Nick now. I've changed.
Oh, you've changed people halfway through the role play. You've got
Nick now.
Oh,
I'm Nick.
You've changed halfway through the role play.
What you're saying is it's fantasy. It couldn't happen. Couldn't ever happen.
Well,
I'm worried that this camera's just looking straight up my golf shorts. I pack so lightly.
Speaking of fantasies, though. Speaking of fantasies and dreams, you had a dream last night the world ended. What do you reckon? What do you think
Aliens.
Siebes was dreaming about at Macca's the other night when he fell asleep?
Is that Mossman Macca's?
I don't know which
I've
Macca's.
fallen asleep at Macca's. Have you fallen asleep at Macca's?
Well, yeah, so you reckon they might be drugging people? Obviously. Obviously.
Good folks in
Allegedly.
McDonald's.
Yeah. Hey,
Pick on someone smaller.
yeah. So, what do you take of that? Siebes falling asleep at Macca's.
Oh, there's got to be people around him to say,
Wake up!
Don't
Grab on his brother!
make up. Hey, don't fall asleep here. There's kids everywhere. Someone's going to take a photo on your phone.
Apparently his mate said that. He goes, I'm tired.
Leave me alone. Yeah, I don't know. I quite liked it. If I were a Manly fan, I'd be sitting there saying, he's working his guts out. Let him have a McValue meal in peace and let him have a little snooze. Give him a break.
I don't like it. I love it.
Yeah.
The humanality of it, what makes a person personable, what makes someone exciting is their flaws and the stuff that they do that's
Well, that's not flaw. That's just similar to us.
But that's a flaw. You wouldn't go,
I've seen you fall asleep in that, Macca.
Yeah, but I'm saying that you wouldn't plan your day to go like, I'm going to go for a long piss session tonight and then probably have a kip in Macca's for half an hour. And
Oh, so was that not after the game?
No, he'd been out with the boys.
Oh, had he?
They played on Thursday night and he had a few of the boys up for the weekend had come up and obviously led him astray because he said they'd come up from the country. And,
Seeds, you big city slicker.
It was before 11 p.m. So he'd had a rip in the arvo and...
Good on him. I say good on him.
I reckon it's great. I reckon those stories should actually... no one gets hurt. It ends in a bit of fun. There's a funny story. There's a funny photo. And you'd probably prefer the photo not to be taken, but the fact that it was, it's a good laugh.
Made us laugh.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I think there should be... That harmless fun should be encouraged.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's... Yeah, good on him. I
got another thing. And the people that were outraged over Siebes...
Were there people outraged?
There were people outraged.
You listen
on
to
Twitter.
Talkback Radio on Twitter.
I read a lot of Twitter.
Anyone if you're a listener of this podcast and you're one of those outraged Twitter users, calm down. I actually had to pull the bloke up on our page who was like, go up. Yeah, if you had more time to put into it, you would be one of them.
Twitter. I'd be atting everyone. At you, at this.
Oh, it's a foul joint, isn't it? Social media in general.
But for all those people outraged about that, there's been a coach who ended up being the coach of Parramatta Eels. He used to piss in cups and throw them over his head at the cricket.
Who's that?
Oh, I won't say his name as to bring him into disrepute.
What, is this not a public...
No, he got caught doing it. It was Jason Taylor.
Oh, yeah, but what's a cup of piss between a crowd of friends?
Between a wave.
Oh, what was that?
Is that Old Northern?
So what, he used to...
Is that Old Northern?
So he used to drink... he used to fill a cup full of piss and then a wave cup. Shivers.
And he ended up going to coach Parramatta. And the Roosters. I think the Roosters.
No wonder they re-signed Brad Arthur. He's not doing any of that.
No,
we spoke about this before the show. It wasn't on the show.
No.
Before the show. I also heard, because we were talking about it last week or the week before, I think you've spoken about it every week, but about Brad Arthur getting re-signed. I'm showing nothing.
Yeah, I didn't know this.
I heard they've got 6-month clauses in their contract so that, let's say I sign Brad for 3 years, I can actually can it. Let's say we sign it on the weekend. I can actually can it, and the most I pay is 6 months. So a lot of these NRL clubs, and this has been brought in by the clubs, a lot of these NRL clubs are coming through and saying, all right, we want to back you, here's 3 years. That means stop worrying about the contract and just worry about the football.
That makes a heap of sense.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. So...
And it only costs them 6 months.
Yeah, and so for me, I don't think it's worth looking into when they re-sign contracts. In fact, the example I heard was for Carlton, and Carlton were talking about...
Who they signed? Brad Scott.
No, they signed. Sorry, I'm talking about St Kilda. They signed Ross Lyon, but they re-signed Brett Ratton, who never saw a day of his new contract.
Oh, yeah, because of the
They got rid of him.
controversy. Michael Voss was Carlton, sorry.
Yeah, there's no controversy around Ratton.
Wasn't there?
No. So yeah, he got signed and he got signed and yeah, before he even reached the new contract, he was canned. So and they just pay him that 6 months. So probably better for them long term.
Well, let's rip into the...
Yeah, let's go Thursday night matches. What's today? Wednesday. Do you want to start with the AFL? It's a very, very simple one.
Yeah, you kick off the AFL.
Yeah, look, I walk into it with no confidence because the Western Bulldogs are hungry. They 0-2. Luke Beveridge is probably the coach with the most pressure on him right now. The knives will be out if they lose this. But Brisbane last week against the Demons were fantastic. They really did. They had their colours lowered on that first outing against down at Port Adelaide. Chris Fagan has since come out and said to the team, hey, round one, mulligan. Go out there and win the premiership from here. And they came out and flogged Melbourne. Well, actually, they had 40 on
That last 12, you take that last 12 minutes out of the game, and they
smashed them.
They
Yeah,
had flogged them.
Yeah, because it's funny, and even that was a bit of a farce as well. Like Melbourne came back on and were able to warm up before the Lions did. Like there was a lot to that as well. Like protocol on what they're doing.
Apparently, Melbourne had trained for that.
Yeah, they would. They would. Watch out! Watch out! Quickly kick a goal. Yeah, I'm going to say just the Lions to win.
Yeah, well, on the Thursday night, we've got Roosters Eels. I've got to be with Roosters here. I know they got Joey Manu out. Drew Hutchinson steps into the...
Is Drew Hutchinson the new Orbo? Are they trying to... Like, he even looks a little bit like him.
I was about to say, I swear they've just sent Orbo down to the wig shop and they've said, put on 12 kilos. Oi,
come back and say your name's
we're
Drew.
going to call you Drew.
Remember
Uncle Drew, the basketball?
Yeah,
this is it.
Kyrie Irving is dressed up as the old guy.
Hey, Uncle Drew.
Drewberson. I mean, Drewbo.
Yeah, so I reckon that replacement there is a bit different to Parramatta have Junior Paulo out for 2 weeks for that high tackle.
Yeah.
Wiramu Greg, the first couple of games that he's played, he hasn't played a lot of minutes, and he has had the hands on the knees just sucking the air in. They expect big minutes from Junior Paulo when he plays. Without him there, I think Brad Arthur said Regan Campbell-Gillard and Junior Paulo are his two people that he has to have on the field the most of the time because they control what that team does as much as a halfback. So without Junior Paulo, massive loss. I reckon they will struggle in the forwards, and I reckon the Roosters will go over the top of them.
Just straight win?
Straight win, Roosters.
Beautiful. Well, that Brisbane Roosters, we're kicking off. What can we say our Thursday nights are? Because there's so much. You go into it with really high hopes Thursday night, but you're kind of a little bit
you got your weekend,
apprehensive.
You got your weekend bank at risk.
Yeah, it's a Thursday bank.
We've all done that round one.
Yeah,
just launched into Parramatta with the whole weekend budget.
And can I tell you, the punters know it because you've ranted about Parrot every show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Couldn't tip them this Thursday.
No. Oh, if they win this.
To his credit, Maddo played well on last week. He tackled his ass off. So.
Oh, did you hear that he's coming to the golf thing tomorrow?
Yeah. Oh, geez, he played good. And sorry, obviously. No, I'm not sorry for anything I said, but I'll call a spade a spade.
Okay. Yeah,
he did play well. He didn't attack very well, but he did tackle well, and I think that's a good measure of commitment is if they go out there and tackle their ass off.
Easy one for me this Friday night. We've got Collingwood versus Richmond. I'll give you a little same game multi. Collingwood the win. I'm staying away from the line because Richmond show up. This is an MCG game. Richmond have so much success at the MCG over the past 4 years, more so than any other team. Collingwood, no slouches themselves at the MCG, winning, I think, 13 of their last 14. Collingwood, Nick Dacos, 20... Oh, you know what? I'm going to leave Nick Dacos out, actually. I was thinking about this on the plane because he'll start getting tagged now. I didn't want to bring Dad down about his bet either, but he'll start getting tagged now. But I'll go an anytime goal scorer and I'll go Bobby Hill. Let me see what price he's paying. $1.28 plus the win, $1.88. So we're going to go. It's Ian Hill, anytime goal scorer. Bobby's his nickname. We didn't get it wrong. And Collingwood head to head. We're going to have them into a same game multi, and we're going to pair that up with. And we'll start with the first game on Friday night. I know you've got quite an opinion in this game. So Canberra Raiders taking on Penrith. Down in Canberra, no Whiten.
No Whiten, no worries.
No Whiten, no worries. Rapana's back.
Rapana's back. Jamal Fogarty's back. Penrith are without Liam Martin still, which I think is...
But they'll be up and about because their spiritual leader, Isaiah Yo's re-signed. You're thinking that we're going to see an upset on Friday night?
I'm thinking we might tease this one back. You sort of tried to half talk me out of it. I was sort of pushing for the 390 a win. But at minus 12.5...
What is the current line?
Plus 12.5 Canberra. I'm thinking that's enough points for the insurance for Canberra to get us home in the bet at $1.90. So I reckon Canberra minus 12.5 at the $1.90.
Minus 12.5. They're going to flog them.
Sorry, plus. That would be paying some, wouldn't it?
You try to talk me into the win, but they're going to flog them.
Plus 12.5.
Yeah.
And also, I want to be around about a 40-point overs.
Oh, you're sick.
So, Canberra minus 12.5, plus 12.5.
The current total match points is 39.5.
Yep.
So let's go over 39.5.
Over 39.5. Canberra plus 12.5.
Yeah,
That's us.
and plus 11.5 on the line right now.
Mate, we're back. We're down in Canberra. It'll be a cold, old Canberra night.
Give me your thoughts on South's Melbourne Storm.
South Melbourne Storm is a bogey game.
We can just not bet it as well.
I'm saying I'm staying away from that game. I'm giving you one bet a night. Happy to stay away from that game because...
There's a few more on a Saturday, obviously.
South, I'm waiting for the Latrell bounce back. He's been playing well, but he hasn't had one of those... He hasn't
tear him apart.
Yeah, 3-point Dally M games. But he is due for one of those big 3-point Dally M
I thought we were going to see it against the Roosters.
Yeah, bang that drop kick over the other week. I thought he was going to really explode, but he's playing well. Teams are onto him.
He's the best player in the comp. Well, he has the potential to be the best player in the comp.
That's right.
Let me rephrase that.
He's like a back row playing fullback. Like he's a monster body and he's powerful. So yeah, I don't know. You'd love to be able to see him in the centres, but he just doesn't get enough ball there. No. So it's just waiting for an explosive game for him. But also Melbourne are Melbourne. They got Munster Bank. You don't know what they're going to serve up.
So Collingwood to win with Bobby Hill anytime goal scorer is $1.88. Canberra Raiders plus 11.5 over 39.5 is $4. That will give you $7.50 for your Friday night fill up.
Boom.
All right, big one Saturdays. Let me get into the games. Let's start with it. Is there any specific games you want to bet? I'm not going to go through all the games, otherwise we'll be here. We're doing this a little bit on the run. Like I said, we kind of just decided we want to throw more bets out there. We're betting every day of the weekend. Why wouldn't we just let you in on the bets we're having?
Yeah, we don't have to bet big. We're just betting multis, just multing a few things up.
Just a bit of bloody fun.
To have a little bit of a throw at the stumps.
Can I start here?
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, okay, good. So, Hawthorn, one of their biggest losses they've had over the past couple of years, I believe, is they moved Alistair Clarkson on for Sam Mitchell, the ex-club star, club captain. He's come in and taken over the reins. Clarkson has now gone to North Melbourne. North Melbourne, who were, I think, second favourites for the Wooden Spoon, now 2-0.
Yeah, but still.
And he is having so much fun coaching this team. I think it's a fresh start. I think it's a fresh look for him. He's down on the sidelines at the end of the game last week, like calling out to the umpire, that's a ball. Like you don't see them that animated. And he's at a point where he just doesn't care. He doesn't care how he comes across. He's just enjoying it. They've got a couple of real guns in that side as well. They're playing Hawthorn this week. So North Melbourne being up and about the way they are, being able to roll into this game 2-0 and have that much confidence. You know, they let me double check, but I think they beat Freo last week. Let me just double check that. But like even heading over west and grabbing a win, they're coming in full of confidence. Let me just have a look at that score. Yeah, they beat them by 1 point. They beat them by 1 point over there. Fremantle, the pieces of shit. I fucking hate them. I've done my dough on them so much already this year. We're into round 3. Only into round 3. So he will have all the ammo to pick apart his old side. He knows how his captain thinks as well. So he'll know what kind of coaching approach Sam's going to be having at this game. I think this is an absolute cracker bet. So I'm going to bet North Melbourne. I've screenshotted this. Let me just have a look because I haven't actually had the bet yet. North Melbourne -6.5. I'm going to have it while we're going.
So you're on the North Melbourne train.
Oh, 100%. For every reason I just said. I'm not sure if you're listening, but he is going to pick them apart here. So I'm going to say North Melbourne -6.5. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think Hawthorn will want to show up and beat Clarkson and things like that. And then Cameron Zurhaar, who has been going very, very well. He's a real live wire around the ball. I've got him for anytime goal scorer at $1.24. That is...
I'll throw a sideways question out to you.
Oh, what have I done here? Yeah, give me a sideways question.
We haven't done this before the show, so sorry to throw it at you, but Alistair Clarkson leaving Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Is the Hawthorn roster too young to give a shit?
Nah, well, probably. If that's the case, it works better in our favour.
Right.
Whether they're playing with emotion or not, like you just don't know. We don't even know what they've got to show this year. Like they have zero run.
Yeah.
Zero run. They just didn't do enough in the off season. So that's a $2 same game multi. We don't have to go crazy because we've got a few going on here.
Got a few going on. We're going to have a big one on Saturday night for us.
For us.
For those West Tigers.
For us.
For those West Tigers supporters out there, I can't really see things getting much better. Trusting Brandon Wakeham to be the controlling playmaker of the team, I don't think is as far a step forward as they need by sort of saying that they're going to make Luke Brooks take the back seat and then Dewey being a running ball playing fullback. I don't know that it works when you're shuffling around the same 3 players in their spine. You're not going to get outstanding improvement out of that. They need a whole rejig. They need to be selling off Brooks and bringing in other players. And Brandon Wakeham's a guy that got stood down or cut from the Bulldogs. He was behind Kyle Flanagan in the end, who also is under the pump in his position. So I don't know that he's going to be the saviour that everyone thinks this year for them. And for that reason, I reckon the Broncos looked like they were going to put a score on Dolphins last week. Dolphins played super solid. They rose for that derby. I think Walters is going in with the same team, which I think is super beneficial. Same combinations. You got the boys there that are playing. They know their roles every week when no one's dropping out. So I just think that they could really run up a score here on West Tigers.
Can I add to this?
What?
Because I think this is a definite bet for a couple of reasons. Broncos were flying to start the year last year, met the Tigers, fell off a cliff, and they know that. They've mentioned it in the media this week.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Broncos haven't beaten West Tigers since 2018. Their last 5 matches,
wow,
to the point of like, here we go, 2020, West Tigers beat them 48-0. 21, they beat them 42-24. 2022, 32-18. They know that this has been a bit of a bogey side for them. They know that they want to come out and make amends for last year.
And is there a harder time for the Tigers to be going to Suncorp, a place where Brisbane are fighting for it to be their house over the Dolphins? I don't think it gets any easier for West Tigers. This is the perfect time for Brisbane to run a score up. Brisbane -13.5. Cobbo to score in the corner. Reece Walsh to score up the guts.
Oh, here we go.
I'll let them know where to score.
Let me check them all there.
I've got these here, mate.
I want to add them in there so I can take it. So you're saying -13.5 What's the current line?
Yeah. Cobbo, the way that he has started the season...
That's teased down.
Sorry?
That's teased down.
What have you got it there?
I've got minus 15.5.
Minus, if that's giving you the $1.90.
I
was just taking
doesn't matter to you.
I was just taking Laddie's ads.
Yeah, I can't handle the ladies. What's the name at the moment?
But I think Cobbo is Greg Inglis-like in his running.
You remember when I told you? I told you and the boys, Cobbo will play NRL this year. And he'd already played a few games.
The QRL Grand Final, though, that time, yeah.
I think he'd already played a few games.
He was absolutely carving up the QRL Grand Final and would have jumped on the Cobbo bandwagon. Let's go, Cobbo.
I made a statement. That whiskey went down a treat, by the way.
But yeah, Reece Walsh as well. His footwork and speed, that just has tries written all over it this year. I don't know how... Actually, I do know how he didn't get one against Dolphins last week. I reckon Wayne Bennett made it a game plan of theirs to shut him down. Because
they have to. I think every team needs to be doing that now. Like he is
tries.
He is elite.
Yeah, his footwork is just, it's so fast. And you see these young guys that come through that have a good head, good field head on their shoulders, where he's knowing where to be and knowing where to pop up. Like that ball that he threw last week for Brisbane against the Dolphins was phenomenal.
Yeah.
That he can be so young and ball playing like that. But wow, now that teams will be looking for that ball playing as well, his show and go and that step is just another element.
He has to put it on his shoulders a lot more. That's why I think a scoring option with Reece Walsh in it is always any Brisbane bet you have.
For sure. But if you can throw that ball and teams are on their heels waiting to throw that ball and he throws that step in there where like he's just going over.
Yeah, that's hypnotising them.
That's why I can see him going over in the middle third as opposed to on the edges. Like he's just a...
Well, yeah, I think... I can't remember one try that he hasn't gone...
Yeah, because as soon as they get...
He might push out that and it might end up being on those outer thirds, but no, he's...
But they'll be rolling against... you got Payne Haas in the forwards there. You got Kurt Catewell. You got Tommy Flegler. They'll be rolling up the middle at some point and he'll go, yep, off the ruck, throw, step in. He could even go under the posts.
Is there any other bet you want to have on the weekend? I don't mind that Manly-Newcastle game.
Nah.
Stay away.
I don't know. What's Newcastle doing at the moment? I thought they get pumped last week by the Raiders. And
they had a birthday. Canberra were terrible.
But
it was up there, wasn't it?
Is this going to be Newcastle of
This
old?
is at 4 pints?
Yeah, but is this going to be Newcastle of old where they are...
Chuck it in.
Nah, I can't chuck it in. I don't think it's good value. I reckon the Dolphins look better value as outsiders against...
but that line's that price is changing every minute.
But I could not tip a team where they're going in with Milford as the controller. As much as I hate Milford bashing because he's a bloke that's come up. He was so good, so young, and you thought as he got older and more experienced, he would be more of a team leader. But he's just a player. He's not someone that you want to put the team on the back of, I reckon. And I'm a bit worried about them getting a big score put on them in these first sort of 6 or 8 games. I think it's a possibility, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later, and it will happen with Milford at the helm as opposed to O'Sullivan.
Okay. Saturday multi. North Melbourne minus 6.5. Cam Zerha anytime goal scorer. Brisbane Broncos minus 15.5. Reece Walsh, Selwyn Cobbo anytime goal scorers, anytime try scorers. That is a $7.30 play for Saturday. All right, let's move on to the Sunday saviours.
This Sunday
is a beauty.
Dogs of War. Let's go.
Dogs of War.
Let's go, baby.
Dogs of War, please.
You know what? I'm not going to
What happened to the Dogs of War last week?
I'm not going to show...
beat by the Warriors.
I'm not showing any bias on this show.
Me neither.
Dogs of War, baby. Come on, Josh Reynolds is back.
The handcuff?
Get in the crowd, boys.
Is that the handcuff? Take us away, handcuffs.
Yeah. That's the Let's Riot, baby. It's we got Josh Reynolds back for his first game since 2017, coming off the bench. Faamanu Brown out. Joshy Reynolds in.
What is he called? Grub.
The Grub. Yep. There is no player in the game that he has not sledged.
What a name.
Grub.
There's a little bit of... There's a hierarchy there. Nothing beats the Grub.
But also, cop this.
Okay.
Cowboys outs.
Huge outs.
Oh, these are huge outs. Firstly...
Few journeyman lobbing too.
Yeah.
Replacements. What's his name?
Jack Kasecki's in.
No, Elliott. Elliott's a bit of a journeyman.
That's Adam Elliott, I think you're thinking of.
Nah.
Brendan Elliott.
Yeah, are they brothers? Because they look the same.
No.
They honestly do. I saw a picture of them in the newspaper.
No, I'm talking about their two major forwards out. So, James Tarmow, Jeremiah Nanai, Murray Tuolagi, that is
Nanai Tuolagi, and I mean Tarmow's been good, but he's
there's 600 kilos there.
Yeah, and they just don't have the stock to replace him with anything.
That is, and even Shibasaki being out, he was scoring tries last week. So I guess I'm thinking a reshuffled Cowboys. They came out and surprised last week. I didn't know they were going to do that. They've started this season a little bit flat. I reckon the Doggies, that injection of Reynolds, that just brings up the whole team. What's it called? The team feeling, the team motivation. He's just he's a great player to have around, and him coming off the bench is just. I reckon he could really inject some life into this game.
If this was up there, I'd be wary of this bet. I'm wary of this bet anyway because, as you say about, I don't know, who were we just talking about? Knights. There's a lot of uncertainty around the Bulldogs. You just don't know what team's going to turn up.
There is, but
the same team's going to turn up, but you don't know what they're going to serve up.
He's such like a. They rely on him for tries.
Oh, Nano's huge, especially they lose so much scoring potential from that.
And we're looking at Cameron Ciraldo, the coach now, who's saying, wow, my halves did not do the job that they were supposed to do last week. How do I flip that around for this week? Yeah. He can't lead them. Put it this way, if they go out there and lose this week, they'll be calling for Kyle Flanagan's head. And he's stood behind them and said, these are my halves for the year. I'm going to rejig other stuff, but these are my halves.
Kyle Flanagan's head?
Kyle Flanagan.
Who's he?
The halfback.
Oh, sorry, I think I mean the coach. I'm like, I think you've got this wrong.
No, that's his dad.
Oh.
No, the Flanagan was the Cronulla coach, and then now he's the Manly assistant.
Yeah.
That's his dad.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, that's bullshit.
It is, I swear to you. But Flanagan, he very well could have been gone last year when Gould got to the club.
Yeah.
They've kept him around, so they've obviously put a lot of work into him, but at the end of the day, last week, Matt Burton was just floating around the field, looking dangerous, but not in any structure. Yeah,
I agree. He did. He just looks like he can do anything, but then nothing.
You got to put him. I said this about Justin Olam last week. You got to put him in positions to do something. Otherwise, it's just a tough run.
Okay. Yeah. They're spent.
Yeah. Like it's just look, he made 10 metres, but then nothing happened off the back of it.
Yeah.
And if you want those penetrating runs to be when they're scoring a try, or when they're going, poking their head through, and then there's a try off the back of that. Not just a hard run coming out or a hard.
But if there isn't off the back of that, those runs get less and less as the season goes on, just from fatigue and knowing that
because they're
that's
wasted.
just how the play works.
They're wasted, yeah. So, but I can see them flipping it around. There's too much talent stacked into that team. I'll tell you what, who's been the big smoke in that team too. Max King this year has been an absolute stalwart up the front. There was that one game where he threw about 7 bad balls, but he has been very good this year, and very surprising too, because I feel like he's just burst out of nowhere. But yeah, I'm thinking the Bulldogs can get it done. I'm only taking them straight out. Not
$1.90. The bookies can't pick them here.
Yeah. Not throwing in Adokar or anyone for tries because I feel like it could be a really low-scoring shutdown game. And, I'm thinking the Doggies can do it for us on the Sunday.
I've got a bet for us on Sunday, and this would be in my...
Mate, inject the value. Inject the value into our Sunday.
It's okay. Bet big Sundays. We've got to stop saying all that.
You'll lose most of the time anyway. We do.
Gamble responsibly. We got to start adding that at the back of the potties and everything now, which is good. Gamble with your head, not over it. That's another one.
Bet with your brain.
Bet with your brain. Okay. Let me roll up the sleeves here. We're going to Gold Coast Geelong, up at the Gold Coast. Easy pickings, isn't it? Oh. Geelong are 0-2.
So you could take the fan out.
The Premiers are 0-2 rolling into the season. They've met good sides. Well, they probably should have beat They probably should have beat them last week. I mean, who's going to beat Collingwood?
Save that for another day. That could be here for hours.
We'll do a quick hour after this potty on that. Jeremy Cameron, ex-Giant, went to Geelong. Very, very tough. Took a bad knock to their head last week. Played on. The way he's moving around the ball and the options that he's creating for it's like a tall forward creating options for a small forward. You're trying to see what he looks like.
No. I'm talking. Who's their other forward? The pretty boy looking.
Tom Hawkins. He's cool.
I was going to say Jeremy Hawkins should be paid.
Jeremy Cameron or Tom Hawkins?
Jeremy Cameron should be paid twice as much as Tom Hawkins.
Tom Hawkins,
twice as much.
I said
he was like a robot.
We had a bet on Geelong.
He's like Tin Man,
and Hawkins was really disappointing. He's for sure carrying it.
He's got to oil up his joints.
He's for sure carrying. I said in our group chat, I said to Jared Madden, our good mate in the punters club.
He's a tall forward, that bloke.
And he's someone that needs to oil up the bones as well.
Oh yeah, takes
strong wind turns his bone to milk powder.
Yeah,
but he had a bet on Hawkins, and I said, did you see how slow he was to that first contest? Like he wasn't running at 50%. He was running at like 35%.
But is it age? Has the game just sped up beyond his capability?
No, there's more to that. There's more to it. There has to be. See, Geelong got a system where they could say, and I don't know whether you can tap Tom Hawkins on the shoulder like he's been that good for the club, or you just got to let him play it out, but he has to be injured. So we're staying away from him, but Geelong are rubbing their hands because Jeremy Cameron, their other forward, could be the best player in the competition.
Yeah, he's a gun.
He is so good.
When you have someone that good too, it makes the other guy that should be playing
worse.
Good. Yeah, I know.
Look even worse. Do you want me to just spit a few, get a bit of value?
Yeah, but
so him 2+ goals.
Just with those two, I feel like that's a bit the same with the Canterbury situation with Flanagan and Burton. When Burton can just do it with such ease,
yeah,
and Flanagan looks like he had 4 runs for 8 metres.
Yeah, see,
and just when one's going
the other one
15
like trash.
Yeah, 15 metres for fun. That was the same with Cameron and Hawkins. I couldn't believe what I was watching. That guy's meant to be like the one of the favourites for Coleman medalist, and he's battling to get.
He's won a Coleman in the last 4 or 5 years.
Battling to get around the ground. How many people would have had him for multiple goal scoring that game? And he kicked one, but
I can't remember if he did or not. Now
I thought he kicked one, but I don't reckon he would never look like he was getting 2.
Yeah, it was beyond. Like it's more than the game's passed him by. There's an injury. There's an injury that they're not. I don't know if they think that he's just going to run it out or something like that. But I don't know. They're close in both games. Like you have another player in there. I know he's a legend and all that, but maybe the result is different. But yeah.
Talk to me about value. Talk to me about some value in this.
Okay. So Jeremy Cameron to score 2 or more goals. I'm going to have. Originally, I was going to tease this line, but I'm not going to.
You haven't said tease a lot. You haven't been teasing a lot.
Because I'm the teaser.
Yeah, you're a bit of a teaser.
I'm a teaser. I'm a 3-game teaser every day of the week.
Yeah, teasing means
basketball, NFL. I'll tease anything.
Teasing means
it's an American term.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's an American term.
They give the handicap and you make it more in your favour.
Yeah, so you're teasing the line down.
He's not teasing it with a feather or anything.
No. What was that?
You were on the kink or something.
I can't remember what it was either. Yeah. That was a good line from me on the podcast. Can't remember what podcast it was. So it's an American sports betting term where you take a 3-game teaser, usually over the NFL is where I've heard it from, and if the line's minus 10.5, you'll tease it to down minus 6.5, grab like $1.60 and have a 3-game teaser. So bring them all down. Because the bookies, obviously anyone that's new to this, the bookies are analysing this game saying, okay, we've got this having these Geelong right now are a 17-point favourite. Now we are talking like NFL terms. Geelong are a 17-point favourite, so the line's minus 16.5. That's where we think it is. We want to tease it down. I don't think we need to tease it down here. I think Geelong minus 16.5, they can do it. You have Jeremy Cameron, 2 or more goals. Gary Rowan, who I think is the one to step up. He's the Red-Headed Cats player that used to play at...
Love a ranger.
He's
Love a
from Swans. He's an ex-Swan.
Is he best ranger in the comp at the moment? So I'm not put you on the spot.
Wait.
I'll put you on the spot.
He might only not be the best ranger in this game on Sunday because the other ranger, Matt Rao, the Suns ranger, he's the one that's rolling around in ankle socks at the moment that Sharon want to sponsor. He is so die-hard football. He is such a country kid that loves his footy. Sharon want to sponsor him.
Wow.
Yes. He's in the multi.
What
I've gone 20 or more disposals.
Oh, you're putting disposal tokens on you.
I'm going everything. It's Sunday. This is a kitchen sink multi.
You're going to have to list this out on the site.
The Sunday sink. This is for me.
Check up on the leg up site for all of these bets.
What I think I'll do is I'll actually do the Thursday night game, like the bet, the Saturday night, like Saturday bets, like what we like, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So have the 4 posts going up and you can play them however you like.
Beauty.
So let me just recap. Gary Rowan, he's the one that's going to pick up in that space from Tom Hawkins. Because Tom Hawkins is kind of, he's like the big old shark patrolling the shallow waters near the goal space. Gary's had to shoot out and get things around the 50-metre up, which is fine because Gary's a great kick. So I think he'll pick up some of those scraps from the big shark, some of the krill. Sorry, I've gone too far down the ocean analogy. I've got Gary Rowan kicking a goal, anytime goal scorer. I've got Jeremy Cameron to score 2 or more. I've got the Cats minus 16.5, and then something to cheer along for the Suns. I think Matt Rowell is a great talent, and him 20 or more disposals. That's going to give us $4.30. We're throwing that in with the Bulldogs. And that's $8.23 for our Sunday.
Yeah,
$50 on that.
So this.
Let me take a photo of this.
Sunday
this is a better way of doing this, by the way.
This Sunday multi.
This podcast. And by the way, punters, as you know, and sorry to cut you off. Remember what you were going to say. This is quintessential leg up, what we're talking about right now, because
this is us.
Yeah, this is us. We always bet together. Nothing is really, apart from members only, which is the most disciplined, always bet disciplined, but is so far planned out in advance and strategic. We really are wanting to create a product, the best product for you guys as listeners. When we say product, we're talking about the podcast, as listeners, and something more enjoyable to consume. But sometimes it changes on the go. And I literally said to Pat, we should be doing a bet every single day.
Because that's what we're doing. And I wanted to do that on the weekend. I'm like, oh, God, I wanted to just throw up this bet I'm going to have. But these are some bets that we can follow during the week and get on the socials and get behind us and enjoy it, and et cetera, et cetera. What are you going to say? Sorry. Oh, mate, I was just going to say, speaking of that Sunday multi and consuming, it sounds like we could give that a cocktail name. The Grub and the Double Ranger.
The
Grub and the Double... Do you want a Grub and a Double Ranger?
Oh, please. Make it a double-double. The Grub and Ranger. A double, thanks.
The Double Ranger. I love it.
You don't want to throw Josh
Rangles.
Josh Ranger in there? Josh Reynolds. Imagine if he scores a try. The Grub goes
if he scores...
He's notorious for not scoring tries, eh?
He scored one in the trial at Belmore when he came on. The crowd stood up and cheered. He got a standing ovation when he came on, and then he scored a try. They went nuts, and it was a trial game. So if he scores first game back for 5 years, it'll be...
Imagine that. They will storm the field.
The 4,000 people at a core stadium will go nuts.
The doggies don't travel to a court?
I'm sure there won't be a lot of Cowboys fans there.
No, they won't. But surely there's enough doggies there.
Yeah, I don't know. They've just come off the back of a Belmore game, so I don't know that many will be coming
travel to a court.
Yeah.
So I'll put that up on our socials. Let's just talk about this golf day tomorrow. This is... Anyone that knows me or is playing with us tomorrow or anything will know this is quite embarrassing. But I have to admit, I thought, before this charity golf day next week, I've got to go get a bucket of balls. Because I had a lesson. I got bought a lesson for my birthday last year. I had 12 months to use it. I used it the week before my birthday this year. Went in, got a lesson. Oh my God, I was hitting them beautifully. Pure is the term I wanted to use. I used it a lot. I was saying at the range to other people, look how pure I'm hitting it.
Was the lesson with a golf pro?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
yeah.
good. That's a start.
It wasn't just Paige Spiranak on the socials. Wowzers. So then before this golf day last week, I'm like, fuck, I got to go get a bucket of balls in, you know. I got to get because my grip's new and my swing's new. Got to the driving range. I'd forgotten everything from the lesson. I was topping them. There was a guy behind me, or like next to me. They were coming off the heel of my driver so hard. I think he left because he thought he was going to lose an ankle. They were zinging past him at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I'm like, walked straight back to the car, called the golf course that does the other lessons. I'm like, I need a lesson Monday or Tuesday because I'm leaving on Wednesday for the thing. He goes, 8 a.m. Monday. You know, I was sole parenting Sunday, Monday. I dropped my kid off at kindy so early. So and they're like, come on.
Do that, actually?
Yeah. And then they're like, and I'm like, Max, I got to go, buddy. I got to go. And the teachers at kindy are like, Daddy's got to rush off to work. I'm in full golf kit.
Yeah, I've got to go to the golf doctor. I've got to go to the doctor.
Daddy's got to rush off to work. Obviously, they didn't see me in full golf kit and shot over.
Daddy must be a golf pro.
I'm back. And I know I've been talking myself up a lot. These podcasts are good for confidence. I'm gonna stripe him tomorrow.
Well, look,
Rely on me.
Stand by.
I'm in.
Stand by for stories next week. We'll really rip into some of the stories next week of what goes on at golf days.
Did we get to a point we forgot to ask the bloke if we're allowed to talk about him on the potty?
Look, let's just say last year someone
Stop yelling. I'm a metre away.
Someone
from
had
you.
their job, but you got to yell this one because we saw some giant balls last year.
Yeah, put it this way.
Not golf balls. They were
for a
real grapefruit.
A golf day that was about a charity for kids. We saw too much of this guy's balls. He had a few drinks. At one stage, he was walking through the car park. This is in between entrees and mains, so it wasn't that late. T-shirt only, or golf shirt only. Looked like a toddler at the beach in the pouring rain. It was a lot. It was too much, if you ask me.
I reckon that's a good thing to end on. A couple of huge, giant nuts.
Yeah, big wet nuts. So, wish us luck for the weekend. Good luck this weekend. Wish us luck for the golf day. Good luck to you this weekend, punters. Really appreciate the comments and feedback we're getting on this potty. We are hopefully coming up with something. I had Heckers, who's a big supporter of ours and a good mate, you know, through the page and that. He wants to throw in the Heckers Hail Mary. Firstly, Heckers, we'd love to have you on the show. We can't have you on the show. You know, it's
great
too
name.
much going
Great
on.
name for a segment.
But what about the Heckers Hail Mary and a listener calls up and gives us a bet each weekend?
Would love it.
So we're trying to work around that, but give us feedback on what you think. Heckers, thanks for the idea. You can kick us off.
The Heckers Hail Mary.
It's good, isn't it?
I like it.
All right. See you out there.
Let's get it. Let's
See you
get
out
it.
there.